Former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Farooq Abdullah, has come out with a bizarre defense of the Taliban and its terror regime. Farooq said he believes Taliban will provide good governance in Afghanistan. The National Conference patron also seems to be backing the draconian Islamic rule, gender crimes that Taliban have unleashed in Afghanistan. Farooq added that the Taliban should rule Afghanistan on Islamic principles, that the Taliban must respect human rights and carry out justice for all Afghans. He encouraged the Taliban to preserve good ties with other nations while speaking at a ceremony commemorating his father Sheikh Abdullah's birth anniversary. However, after the growing outrage, National Conference has clarified that his words have been misrepresented and twisted. Farooq's son and NC chief Omar Abdullah had slammed the centre last week after Indian envoy met Taliban's political office to safely evacuate Indians from the war-torn country.
देखिए, अफगानिस्तान एक अलग मुल्क है और उन्हें अब उस मुल्क को संभालना जो वहाँ पे आए हैं। मैं ये उम्मीद करूँगा कि वो इंसाफ हर एक से करेंगे और एक अच्छी हुकूमत चलाएंगे जिसमें वो इंसानी हकूक़ को मद्देनज़र रखेंगे और इस्लामी उसूल पे चलाएंगे। मैं साथ साथ ये भी कहूँगा कि उन्हें कोशिश करनी चाहिए हर मुल्क के साथ अपने दोस्ताना ताल्लुक पैदा करने की।
Mr. Farooq Abdullah should realize that to comment on international relations and to comment on affairs of other countries is not the job of a former chief minister. It is the job of the Ministry of External Affairs and Government of India. He will be better advised to exercise restraint and not play to the gallery by trying to sound soft or to be seen as legitimizing what's happening in other countries.
What Farooq Abdullah has said, it is for his party to comment on that. And if Taliban have taken over in our neighborhood, it is a question of concern for everybody. And what he has said, that they should maintain good relations, that they should not interfere. I think it is a fear in the mind of people of Jammu and Kashmir. As far as Congress party is concerned, we stand for the human rights in throughout the country, throughout the world, that the human rights of everybody should be respected in every country. Don't particularly teach lessons to India, they should learn how to respect the human rights. That is a matter of concern and question and great concern for everybody what is happening in Afghanistan.
ऐसी सरकार जिसमें मुल्ला अखुंद जैसे आतंकवादी प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं, जिसमें सिराजुद्दीन हक्कानी जैसे लोग हैं जो 37 करोड़ के इनामी आतंकवादी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय आतंकवादी घोषित हैं, ऐसी सरकार का समर्थन डॉक्टर फारूक अब्दुल्ला ने किया है। और ये हमारे लिए कोई नई बात नहीं है, सरकार के लिए नई बात, आंखें खोल देने वाला एक बयान है कि हम जिसे कहते आ रहे हैं कि 30 साल से हम कहते आ रहे हैं ये और ग्राउंड वर्कर्स हैं और इनका गार्ब नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस है, कहीं पीडीपी है, असल में ये सारे लोग उनके समर्थक हैं।
अरे फारूक साहब, बहुत विडंबना है कि जहां मुस्लिम माइनॉरिटी में होता है तो वहां तो आप सेकुलरिज्म की बात करते हो और यहां मेजॉरिटी में वहां इस्लामिक रूल की बात करते हो।
Ashraf Wani joining us live from Srinagar on this. Ashraf, talk us through, those comments that were made and then this, the oncoming U-turn, the party trying to explain it as misrepresentation. Is that correct?
Abba, basically the former Chief Minister of the Jammu and Kashmir, Farooq Abdullah, is always known for these kind of controversial comments. But one quality also with the Dr. Farooq Abdullah, whenever he's asked any question, other than remaining politicians, he frankly speaks. What he has spoken today, it was not the venue where he was supposed to talk about the Afghanistan government, but he was asked by the media persons and he has put his word. So the same is being said by the national conference here. But the word which has pinched most of the political parties in the Jammu and Kashmir is and in the country is that he has suggested Taliban to rule the country on the Islamic lines. That is the word. But so far as the Farooq Abdullah is concerned, he has said these views on the Afghan government, and they are being taken seriously by the other political parties and the government in the country. But he clearly said that these are his personal views, and that is being misrepresented and mispresented in the media. That is the clearness by the Dr. Farooq Abdullah, in fact, even by his son Umar Abdullah here in the Kashmir.
All right, thanks for that update coming in there live from Srinagar. Now, the Taliban have announced their interim government in Afghanistan. Pakistan's ISI's pick, Mullah Muhammad Hassan Akhund, will be the new Afghan Prime Minister. Akhund is a UN-designated terrorist. The cabinet consists of at least 5 ministers who are UN-designated terrorists. There is no woman in the cabinet and has Pakistan ISI's imprint written all over it.
Most wanted terrorists, leaders with $10 million bounty on their heads, former Guantanamo Bay prisoners, mercenaries responsible for notorious attacks. No, we are not talking about a terror organization, but the men who will now run Afghanistan. The Taliban have announced an interim government declaring the country an Islamic emirate. The cabinet, which is without a single female member, has Pakistan ISI's imprint written all over it. The government will be led by Mullah Hassan Akhund. He's one of the founders of Taliban and heads Rehbari Shura, Taliban's powerful decision-making body. Akhund also features prominently on the United Nations blacklist. Abdul Ghani Baradar will serve as his deputy. He was released from a Pakistani prison in 2018 after pressure from US. Maulavi Hanafi is the second deputy prime minister. Other appointments include Mullah Yaqub, the son of Muhammad Omar, founder of Taliban, who will act as defense minister. Next in the cabinet is Sirajuddin Haqqani, the head of Haqqani Network. He is the interior minister and has close ties with Al-Qaeda. The US has a $10 million bounty on the newly minted minister. And he's not alone. Khalil Al-Rahman Haqqani, who is now the Minister for Refugees, also has a $5 million bounty on his head. Another notable mention is the new Education Minister, Abdul Baqi Haqqan. And here is what he thinks of degrees.
No PhD degree, master's degree is valuable today. You see that the people who are in power have no PhD. But all these leaders are the greatest of all.
Then came the bizarre diktat from Taliban Cultural Commission head, who banned women from participating in sports, claiming that it would expose their bodies to the media.
The Resistance Front, which are still fighting the Taliban from Panjshir, have called the cabinet illegal. A key aide of slain legendary resistance commander Ahmad Shah Massoud spoke to India today on how a majority of Afghans actually don't support the Taliban.
Their heads are high, higher than before, and they indeed inspired other terrorist organizations in the world to wake up. We have now Afghanistan in our hand, which is not true. They have the land, not the people.
The Taliban are trying an image makeover, promising rights to women and minorities, among other things. But if this cabinet is anything to go by, they are clearly not walking the talk. Is this a simple case of old wine in new bottle? Bureau Report, India Today.
The Resistance Front in Panjshir province has announced that it will form a parallel government in Afghanistan, reacting to the new cabinet announced by the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. The resistance led by Ahmed Massoud, said it would form a parallel government after consultation with political leaders. The front named the Taliban's caretaker government as illegitimate and an enemy of people of Afghanistan. Resistance forces also urged the UN and other international groups to refrain from diplomatic ties with the Taliban. They sought support of the international community to resist the Taliban. This statement comes 2 days after Taliban claimed complete control of Panjshir Valley, even as resistance forces held that their fighters are continuing the resistance up from the mountains. Meanwhile, India Today spoke exclusively to a key aide of late Northern Alliance commander Ahmad Shah Massoud Khalili.
The Taliban forming the government, what is your first reaction to the Taliban having returned?
Taliban have announced not all of their cabinet, but we are looking into that very carefully, that whether it is broad-based, inclusive or not. By broad-based, we mean that all other people, all other ethnic groups should be included, not individuals to be selected by them and put them behind the table. Number one. Number two, we will see that what the common people, the masses of the people will react to that, whether they accept it or not, because unfortunately, Taliban has had a very, very dark past, and still they have it.
Well, Ambassador Khalili, the fact that the names that we are seeing right now is all of the Taliban leadership and includes the Haqqani network, members of the Haqqani network, Sirajuddin Haqqani to be precise. Does that really show that they are in many ways then one violating the agreements that they really signed up with the United States of America of being more inclusive?
Well, right from the beginning, when they started to sign with the United States, they were indeed having one thing in their mind: to cheat the world and Afghanistan and the United States. One thing that you go and I will see what I would do in Afghanistan with some help of some other countries. This is how they did it, and still they are going on. They, with that, their heads are high, higher than before, and they indeed inspired other terrorist organizations in the world to wake up. We have now Afghanistan in our hand, which is not true. They have the land, not the people.
The small Sikh and Hindu communities still living in Afghanistan have no plans to leave their homeland. Only 150 Sikh and Hindu families are now left in the war-torn nation.
We are 140 Hindu families living in Jalalabad, Ghazni, Kandahar and Kabul. Our life is here. Our families are here. We demand the Taliban stabilize whole Afghanistan and provide an environment for all Afghans to live in peace. These people have been suffering for years. May Allah help and people live in peace under the government the Taliban will form. This is what we want from the Taliban. May Allah grant peace to Afghanistan.
We spoke with Dr. Omar Zakilwal, former finance minister in the Karzai government. He talked about the new government and Pakistan's role. Listen in.
Dr. Zakilwal, I want to ask you, Siraj Haqqani is a specially designated global terrorist. How can we expect, and how is this really going to happen? How can other countries engage with a designated terrorists? You know, countries like India, for example, are looking at ways of establishing ties again with the country in which we had invested so much in the past. But to deal and to engage with people who are designated terrorists, how is it going to be possible?
Well, not only Siraj Haqqani, if you look at it, all of the Taliban were designated terrorists. Guantanamo, Bagram presence and other presence were filled with these leaders and with their fighters. They were being killed and fought against very recently. But yet, not only with all the Taliban leadership, of which the Haqqanis are part of it, but with the Haqqani family as well, the rest of the world interacted. The agreement that was negotiated between the US and Taliban in Doha, Siraj Haqqani's brother was there, his relatives were there, his people were there, and in every meeting by Western countries and other countries, India might be an exception here, they met with the Taliban leaders that included members from the Haqqani family. So we need to reckon with the reality. Taliban are reality in this ground. Taliban has been accepted as a reality by the West, by the entire West, by the rest of the country. That's why they've been engaging with them, and that's why there was a push from the international community and also from within that a peace settlement is reached between the Taliban and the rest of the political sides, and that's how here we should take it. We cannot judge, let's say today, by what it used to be 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even a year ago. So we have to accommodate to that.